Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Rochester Press Box. Bill Pucko with you after like a month layoff. I thank all the people who did such a great job substituting, and you were out, and Duffy, you just hung in there.
Was I not here when people were doing a great job? Did I miss that?
Well, I assume you were doing a great job,
too. I was doing a great job.
We require you to set the example. The Hall of Famer Tariq Spence, how you doing?
Good to be here. Good to have you back to bring some order to this chaos for the last month.
No kidding.
36? I love it.
Well, yeah, you know who this is, right?
Oh, yeah.
Who's that?
Marcus Smart.
No, it's Shaquille O'Neal. It's a Shaquille O'Neal big Shamrock jersey that I got while in New England on the road telling jokes. That's
What number does Smart wear?
36.
Okay.
I can't believe they didn't retire it for Shaquille's 1 year in Boston. How do you not do that?
Oh, geez, it's been so much fun watching this team. I can't begin to tell you. So that's where we're going to start. We got Stanley Cup Finals. We got NBA Finals, Stanley Cup Semifinals. A lot of good watching out there.
First of all, I'll leave the NHL, although I did like the game between the Avs and the Oilers, the first game out. There was a lot of scoring, which I know he hates, but that was a lot of fun to watch every period. Go ahead. I'll let you think it.
No, you do yours, and then I'll tell you why you're wrong. But
all right. I know where I'm wrong, but I just love to watch all the scoring and just the fast pace of hockey in the playoffs. The NBA Finals, listen, I don't know what's going to happen. This is why we watch. I know a lot of people will go with the Warriors because of sentimental value last few years, especially what they've gone through with their roster changes and injuries and all the other different things that have gone on. Yet they still keep the core together and the team together. That being said, part of me wants to see Boston put up a nice little defensive wall for something the Warriors to think about throughout the series. If they can do that somehow throughout this series, now I'm pushing it to at least a game 6. Hopefully a game 7. Everybody wants that in any series that they play, especially a good series. But I'm not quite sure. The offense for the Warriors is so scary to watch day in and day out. They can explode. They can have a 15-point deficit, disappear quickly. But I have a player I got to watch right now, Al Horford. Did you see those young players go to him and call him OG and feel so happy for him for a chance to be in the finals? So I got a guy this year, and it's Al Horford.
I don't know why everybody is counting Boston out before the series starts, right? It makes sense that Boston's going to be able to compete. First of all, you ran through a gauntlet of teams in the Eastern Conference. Super team in Brooklyn, you take down Giannis, and you go beat Miami, which was a complete team. Granted, they were bit by injury. Second, Boston can beat you several different ways, right? And you've watched this happen playing this game out. They like playing iso ball, but you can't account for everyone else on the court just playing iso ball. And that's why the iso ball is working so well for them. There's so many players between Tatum and Brown and Horford, who you brought up. Marcus Smart every once in a while does something right?
Defensive player of the year.
Yeah, but I'm saying offensively, yes.
True.
And on top of that, you bring up, can the Celtics play defense against the Warriors? Can the Warriors play defense against the Celtics? Because look, walking through the Western Conference, every team they've played, they've had one offensive player to worry about, which Draymond Green can go lock down. Who's Draymond Green stopping in this one? Who do you assign him to?
Let me just bring this up for the Warriors. When they went on their championship run, people tend to forget how good they were defensively. They were ranked one of the best defensive teams as well with a great offense. I'd like to see a good defense versus a good offense like this matchup is going to be, but they score so quickly and so fast.
Where do you put Draymond Green? If you're going to shut somebody down, do you put him on Tatum? Do you keep up with him? Do you put him on Horford, who can not only play down low but sneak out and hit a 3 every once in a while? Do you put him on Brown? Because when Brown's left alone, you've seen in the last 3 series, he can do some serious damage.
Yeah, let's not short the hockey because what do you like about the 4 teams left?
I mean, look, the Avalanche, I think it's their year if Tampa Bay doesn't stand in the middle. It is remarkable that Tampa Bay, with all of the extra hockey they have played the last 3 years, are still standing, let alone playing really, really good hockey right now. You brought up game 1 of the Western Conference Finals.
14 goals.
14 goals. 8-6. Look,
13
man,
different players.
Yeah, buddy.
every hockey fan loves goals. It's unsustainable, right? Like, that's what the league wants to see. Or, I'm sorry, that's what fans want to see. You had both goalies pulled in round 1 of the Western Conference Finals. Those teams are adjusting. Even the winning team in the Colorado Avalanche, who scored 8 goals and won by 2, said this is not a sustainable way to win. Gretzky said it himself. It's not sustainable. These coaches are going to adjust. It's never going to be this way. It's only a tease after this. And look, man, I don't think either team coming out of the West, the way that they give up points, can compete with Tampa Bay, who I think is going to be there, or New York, who, if Igor Shasturkin stays playing the way he is, could get them there as well.
But what did I say before? While you were out, I made this statement earlier, and I've said it before. Playoff hockey is the time I watch, and you will get the most eyeballs in. Now, you're right, it is unsustainable. 14 goals is just ridiculous. I know there'll be a 1-0 game or some sort of overtime game.
Not in the Western Conference, by the way. It's sustainable every single game in the Western Conference.
But we are going to get one of those games somewhere along the line, whether it's in the semifinals or whether it be in the Stanley Cup Finals. That being said, though, that was I couldn't turn it off.
It was nuts.
Like, it was 3-2, I think, at the end of the first period. And I'm like, all right, well, let's see the second.
So the series is so contrasting because you got that, and then you have the Ranger Tampa. It's going to be played entirely different.
Which we'll get more into in Unfinished Business.
Ooh, very good. This is the Rochester Press Box talking Buffalo Bills next. Welcome back. Thanks for joining us here in the Rochester Press Box, our Buffalo Bills segment brought to you by Ralph Honda for 3 generations and celebrating 50 years as New York's first and oldest Honda dealer. Visit Ralph Honda today and find out how we do Honda right at ralphhonda.com. Not a lot to talk about the Buffalo Bills this week, but Ken Dorsey came out, the new offensive coordinator. We got a chance to listen and see him. What do you think?
I mean, I like Ken Dorsey. I like the fact that this plan has been in place really for the last 3 seasons, right? Because for the last 2 years, the idea was Dable last year was going to get a head coaching job. Here it is. I think you'd be naive to think that Dorsey hasn't been groomed a ton the last year to step in this position. What's going to be interesting...
Actually had a year of grace, right? Because Dable was supposed to get a job the year before he did.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, right? Like, you knew this was going to happen this year. Dorsey was your guy the whole way. What I'm interested in seeing, James Cook, the running back who was drafted, he's a guy that can catch out of the backfield, right? Like, he's supposed to be an improvement over Singletary and Moss. Was Cook taken because he was available? Or was Cook taken because that's what Dorsey wants to do when Dable didn't want to do it? Do you understand what I'm saying?
I get it.
Like the offense is going to be similar. Josh Allen knows what he's doing. You're not going to change that up. Are those little tweaks going to put this offense over the edge? Or is it going to be something that could hamstring the offense until they figure it out for the first couple of weeks?
The press conference was amazing when I got out of it. Is it me or just Ken Dorsey looks like a math teacher or a science teacher?
That was my first impression.
And when I first
and a voice to match.
And you know what's crazy about it is like it better add up to some points. I mean, it better add up to that offense working. This is very interesting for Ken Dorsey, and I feel bad about him because for the next 2 to 3 months, we're going to be sort of wondering what this offense is going to look like. And I know you're going to be on pins and needles because you don't want to see regression. This is not the year for regression, neither is next year. This is the time for progression. So that being said, I sat there watching Ken Dorsey. I'm like, he seems pretty confident. He looks good, but we won't know until the first preseason game. We won't know until the first regular season game. We won't know until
the first playoff game.
The first playoff game, because that's what you're expecting from this Bills team.
You know, it's funny, you bring up Ken Dorsey kind of looking like a dork, right? Like you forget,
I didn't say that.
He
It's like a math teacher.
Yeah, all those cool math teachers hanging out at
They're all
nightclubs.
cool math teachers.
Okay, what is this? Anyway, you forget, I mean, that guy was a quarterback at the U with Willis McGahee and Kellen Winslow and all of the Santana Moss. Like, that guy had to be, he was the big man on campus, and he shows up now with his paper. I don't know what to do with my hands, he says in the press conference, right? Like,
a true statement, too.
Look, maybe I am being an overly optimistic Bills fan. I don't see this offense changing much at all. The only concern I have, there was word that there was tension between Dable and McDermott at the end of last season.
Yeah.
That McDermott wanted to control the ball more, run it a little bit more, where Dable just wanted to throw it around.
That was the same idea I had.
And look what happened.
I know.
Anywho, will McDermott's influence be enough to push Dorsey off of what his instincts are and what he thinks works best for this team? Dable was an NFL professional for years and years and years. You can push that off. This is Dorsey's first job. Will that have a negative effect if McDermott has different ideas than Dorsey does?
He's a rookie OC, and the bar is set awfully high.
To get to the Super Bowl, I know Duffy doesn't want to say it, but I'm
win the Super Bowl.
Well, you got to get there to win it, okay? Here's the first thing.
I just Googled it. He's right.
Yeah, I know I'm right again. So Parker doesn't check. But here's the other end of this too. I think that what makes this so interesting is I feel Duffy has made a leap. Before you would see an anxious guy, a nervous guy. You seem a lot more confident, which is great. I think you guys should go and win the Super Bowl this year.
It's a kid's first car. He's like, you're giving him a Lamborghini as his first car, putting him in it and telling him, go.
No, but along those lines, I don't want to hear from you anymore. Along those lines, Brian Dable was
He just said win the Super Bowl, and then I say
you have to win the Super Bowl. You're going to win the Super Bowl.
Stop talking to me.
Stop talking to me. Look, Brian Daboll was an unsuccessful offensive coordinator in the NFL until he had the tools of Josh Allen, Stephon Diggs, all those things put ahead of him. You're right, he's a rookie offensive coordinator. It's like handing the kid a Ferrari, but that kid's going to win a race that has a Ferrari as opposed to the Chevy Corsica that I had when I was 17 years old.
You had to get that in.
Yeah, there you go.
That Corvair. Unsafe at any speed. Our Buffalo Bills segment was brought to you by Ralph Honda. Like It or Not is next. Here's the Press Box Trivia question brought to you by Market View Liquor, where exceptional customer service meets an extensive selection. Jefferson Road at 390.
Favorite place in the world that I've traveled to? How about Greece? Hello again, Mike O'Brien, your getaway guy. Check out my podcast. I'll take you there at thegetawayguy.com.
Here's the Press Box Trivia answer brought to you by Market View Liquor, where exceptional customer service meets an extensive selection. Jefferson Road at 390.
Are you facing criminal charges from a DWI and feel that you never imagined it could happen to you? Contact attorneys with years of experience as prosecutors and defenders. Contact Ganguly Brothers Law today for a free consultation. You can put your trust in us.
Welcome back. Thanks for joining us here on the Rochester Press Box, our Like It or Not segment brought to you by Ganguly Brothers Law. Attorneys with years of experience defending the accused do not go unprepared. Contact Ganguly Brothers Law today. Tariq, like it or not, Major League Baseball hits a Memorial Day traditional checkpoint. Your guys?
I love it. I love it because it's my Mets. They look great. They're right up there in power rankings with the Dodgers. They had a bit of a concern with their pitching, but yet if you hit the ball enough, you don't have to worry about pitching, do you? So at this particular point, I love it. The fact that they have a manager in Buck Showalter that is confident enough and able to handle and adjust. I think baseball analysts were wrong when they didn't go and look at Buck Showalter as a manager. You can see the progression of this team. They're young, they're impressionable, and they're having fun. They're fun to watch.
Want to explain the shock?
Well, forgive me, in the beginning of this baseball season, when I said I liked Toronto and I liked the Yankees because they were hitting bombs and putting the ball in play all over the place. And everybody on this dais, as the fancy people call it, said, oh, you can't win with hitting, you can only win with pitching. And now all of a sudden, because your team puts the ball in play, you can't pitch, that's a great way to win baseball games. Early in the season with some success. How do you sit here with a smile on your face, not worried about the inevitable explosion and collapse that's about to show up?
You want to know how I know? Because I know it's for a limited time only.
Okay, good. As long as you know. As long as you
That's how I
enjoy
know.
it.
When you're happy, stay happy.
Hey, does
when you're
baseball
sad, you're
like
sad.
this? Because the Dodgers, Yankees, and Mets are pretty much considered right now the top three power rankings, all the rest of that stuff. New York, LA.
Yeah, I mean, of course baseball likes it, right? I mean, the only thing that stinks a little bit is Boston is playing the way Boston is, but even they're not playing terribly right now. I don't know, like, I find it interesting that New York, I mean, they're always relevant. New York is finally playing well with a guy who probably isn't going to be in New York next season, right?
Judge?
Yeah, you're going to have to reset everything, potentially, unless you want to back up the Brinks truck, which it seems they don't want to do anymore. I don't know. I mean, I know you're a baseball purist, even though you're a Boston guy.
Yeah, because that indicates you're closed-minded.
Yes.
No, seriously. So you call somebody a purist, he is closed-minded.
Well, no, what I mean in that, I meant it in romantic.
No,
not
you don't.
Angry.
It's not a good term. I object to the term.
Okay, why everyone's
Hey,
yelling at you today?
like it or not, lasting value for the Rochester Americans playoff run.
You've rekindled the love affair with hockey in this town. It's a sustainable thing like we've talked about before. By the way, the Sabres have 3 first-round picks, and they just signed a bunch of their draft picks from 2 seasons ago in the draft, right, that are going to be showing up at Rochester, guys that can really play. So you've given them, fans, a little taste of what was there. If they come back earlier in the season, they're going to see really good hockey with guys that are going to contribute at the NHL level over the next couple of years. I think this playoff run will be a point 5 to 10 years from now where we look back and go, this is when Rochester brought back hockey.
Wow, how nice would that be?
Love to see that place packed again. Hockey live is the best if you can go see it. But it doesn't matter if it's Amerks, Sabres, doesn't matter what it is. Hockey live is unbelievable.
Yeah, I felt there was something there, like at the end and the way they went out triple overtime and got in 3 rounds. It was pretty cool.
It feels like it ended before it should have. Like I was just getting ramped up, ready to go. Maybe it's because there's 27 rounds in the AHL playoffs right now.
And we weren't expecting a lot. Let's be honest. We weren't expecting a lot out of the Amerks. I think we were thinking maybe first round, maybe.
Look the way they got in last day of the season.
And I think that's what was so great about it. It was a surprise.
With a backup goalie, too. You're winning all that with a backup goalie.
Yeah.
Like it was brought to you by Ganguly Brothers Law. Unfinished Business is next.
The Press Box Stat of the Week is being brought to you by McArdle's Restaurant in Fairport. McArdle's is open 7 days a week with dining available indoors and out, takeout and delivery. Come home to McArdle's.
Came now to Eichel. He floated one.
Unfinished Business is brought to you by Greg the Roofer. Greg will meet or beat any competitor's price and can finance you with 0 down. Call today or visit gregtheroofer.com. Better roof, better price. Better call Greg today.
Welcome back. Thanks for joining us here on the Rochester Press Box. It's time for Unfinished Business. Pat, start us off.
The best goalie in the world versus the best goalie right now. They're both Russians. They're playing each other in the Eastern Conference Finals. Igor Shasturkin with the New York Rangers versus Andrei Vasilevsky of the Tampa Bay Lightning. Igor Shasturkin has had an amazing season. He's a young guy. And by the way, I hate the Rangers for having Mike Richter into Henrik Lundqvist into Shasturkin right now. Goaltending in hockey is insane. It makes no sense because Shasturkin had an amazing season. Shows up in the playoffs against the Penguins and played not great. Defense didn't play great around him. They sat him for 2 games, and rightfully so. Only to bring him back and have him win elimination game after elimination game after elimination game in the previous rounds getting here. And they're still saying at this point that he's the best goalie right now in the league. Here's what's crazy. They're not wrong. That wouldn't happen in any other league. Could you imagine a playoff game where an NFL quarterback gets sat down due to performance only to come back the next week, win massive, and everyone say he's the best quarterback in the league? Same thing with a starting pitcher who gets pulled 3 or 4 times in the first 2 innings in a playoff run to be given the ball in a Game 7 World Series deciding game. It's nuts. It's unpredictable. You think what happened in Game 1 in the Western Conference Finals is crazy? The Eastern Conference Finals makes it even more nuts because all it has to do, 2 goalie pads, a glove, a blocker, and a brain. And it's that last thing that you cannot predict where it's going that night.
Young athletes seem to get this rap of being selfish, only into themselves, only caring about themselves, all the other different things that go on. Yet at the end of Game 7 between the Heat and the Boston Celtics, you saw nothing but young players being so happy for Al Horford, calling him not Al Horford, not Mr. Horford, but OG. Basically, one of the guys that's been there for such a long time. They were just as happy for him as they were for anybody else on that team. Think about where Horford's career started, continued, traded away, came back. Last year, I was a big fan of PJ Tucker and how hard he really wanted to go win a ring, and he did. This year, I'm a big fan of Al Horford. Now, gotta go against the Warriors to get it, and he will earn it, but I'm happy for the fact that there are young players that really do root for teammates, especially guys who are veterans and class acts to go win a ring. I hope Boston wins. I hope the Warriors win. I don't really care because they're not the Knicks, but I'm happy for Al Horford. He got the opportunity to get one.
Even the names of the team give you an idea what to expect when you visit a minor league ballpark. You have jumbo shrimp and storm chasers, space cowboys and rubber ducks, yard goats and flying squirrels, trash pandas, sod poodles, and milkmen. That is quite the eclectic group. I was in Montana for the opening day for the Missoula Paddleheads, colloquial for moose. They handed out numbered tennis balls and invited everyone in attendance onto the field to participate in first pitch ceremonies in an attempt to break what they claimed was the Guinness Book record of 157. Well, they got twice that. We surrounded the infield and were instructed to throw at the Masters ceremonies crouched behind home plate all at the same time. It was good for a laugh. The record attempt thus far hasn't been verified, but that doesn't really matter. It was fun. Kind of, sorta. This type of thing is what we've come to expect. In 2019, the Rochester Red Wings invited Leslie David Baker to the ballpark. Baker, also known as Stanley Hudson of The Office, posed for photos and drew 13,000 baseball fans at Frontier Field. It was the year's biggest crowd. It was epic. In Georgia, where the Savannah Bananas play, if you hit a foul ball into the stands and a fan catches it, you're out. There's a designated banana baby. It's celebrated and held aloft in Lion King style before every game. The players dance all the time. They don't just celebrate home runs. They go into the stands for high fives. A bit extreme, perhaps. The point is, there's a whole nother world out there that doesn't involve going to a Major League Baseball game. The minors not only avoid some of the trappings, they add a few of their own. And another word about the Savannah Bananas. They're a barnstorming league. They don't play by anybody else's rules, but boy, it's working.
Spaceman Bill Lee was pitching for him a couple weeks ago.
No one was really pitching on stilts, were they?
There was a pitcher. Someone is on still.
Yes, they were pitching on stilts.
If you can think it, they do it. It's like the internet.
Okay. Wow. Okay.
Gentlemen, thank you very much.
Thank you, Bill. Good luck to your Celtics all the way.
All right, I like that. And
Come on, I got a good feeling for you.
I think this guy, Smart, might be the key.
This is a Shaquille O'Neal jersey.
They need
But who
Shaquille
borrowed
O'Neal.
Shaquille O'Neal's jersey for the game?
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us. See you next week with the Rochester Press Box.
That is not game worn.